Phobian to discuss some of the key of Operation Calm Life. To provide protection in the town during
the committee probed on other issues of relevance to its work. His interaction with the committee lasted over an hour and 30 minutes before he was discharged. Next to appear before the committee was journalist Erastus Asaridonko, who gave the police first-hand information of what he witnessed.
My Lord, there are various scenes of the firing. At a point, you could see one of the men kneel and then fire. Directions. He knelt and faced this way, and then at a point he knelt and faced that way. And there are a series of firing angles that we recorded.
His narration led the committee to inquire further into details he had provided, including how captions and tags that accompanied the videos were arrived at.
And so I'm sure that in asking you questions to clarify on the field, the anchor would have mentioned these hashtags and all these other things that you yourself say to us you had not verified on the field. So my question is, at the time, would it have been prudent to tell the anchor that you had not verified this and were not able to affirm, so that the editor wasn't putting that hashtag there?
My Lord, there are various divisions of our work. I was on the field reporting, and normally we do not have monitoring and see what is being done out there, so I wouldn't see it. And so it will be on my blind side.
Okay.
But there are people who deal with the slacks that roll on the TV, the captions, and then there are editors who deal with other things. Mine was to be on the field and be reporting.
Okay. Erastus, just one quick question about the clip that we saw. I think when you testified, you mentioned that...
Right, so that was a report cataloging what happened yesterday, and I gave you a fair idea. The two most important things that happened, you heard from the regional minister, and he admitted to a number of things, including the fact that he's the one who had given the order that the police and the military swoop in to take a look at the situation and prevent the loss of lives and property when the agitated youth had taken over the streets. And then you also heard from that reporter, Erastus Asaridonko, giving his account also. Okay, that's a good way to start the conversation, because it sets the tone for us to now begin to pay attention to some of the things that have happened today also. Now, one of such will be a testimony of one of the officers, and he is Brigadier General Joseph Afo. He's the General Commanding Officer for the Ghana Armed Forces. He's also had a lot to say, and okay, let's just hear him. Right.
They were about to bury the gentleman that had died, and that the route and then the way the civilians had massed up going to the cemetery, and particularly even where we heard that they were dressed at the police station, to where the military is invited, the military takes control. When it gets to where, at the stage that the military is invited on ground, the military takes control. That's what happens.
Thank you, Commander. Let me ask you, when you ordered them to proceed to Ejura, what operational gadget did you ask them to carry along? When you asked them to proceed to Ejura, upon the instructions of the Regional Security Council Chairman, what operational gadgets did you ask them to carry along?
Oh, there is SOP in the military, even with the patrol that they've been doing, it's an SOP. Our established equipment is SOP. Once you are moving to an area, you don't have to call the officer, take this, he himself knows the equipment and then whatever he's supposed to go with. That one we can get back and then we'll get the details of it. But it's an SOP with every officer that particular operations you go with along with certain equipment.
If I may ask, did they carry along tear gas to disperse the crowd or demonstrators?
The military, we don't have tear gas. Maybe the police, but we didn't carry tear gas. The military, we don't. Within our equipment, I don't think we have tear gas. That I'm aware of. So they didn't. I believe they didn't go with tear gas.
See, it's a joint operation.
Yes.
The police and the military, and you have told the committee when it is a joint operation, it is the military that takes the lead. So we are assuming that whatever equipment, gadgets that they are taking to the scene, the military will be aware. So my question is, did the team, including the police, did they carry along tear gas?
Not to my knowledge, but once we take over at that stage, we have a procedure that we follow. Crowd dispersal procedure, which you can relate it to rules of engagement, and that does not include tear gas.
And one of your rules of engagement is to use live bullets.
Yes. Yes.
Under what circumstance will the military use the live bullets on demonstrators? Under what circumstance?
When you give verbal warning, when you give warning shots, then within a particular place, you see people firing back from the crowd. Certainly, you'll have to use live weapons, live ammunition.
Okay, so you just heard there Brigadier General Joseph Afo. He's the General Commanding Officer for the Ghana Armed Forces, and it's very good such a probe is going on because he gives us a fair idea some of the things happening. Now, one, he mentioned something. He says when the military gets to such an enclave, or let's say when they are invited to intervene in situations like this, they take over. So forget about the police. Once the military comes in, they are in control and they decide what to do. Now, their rules of engagement state that once they get there and the situation is such that it requires a lot of force, they are allowed, in fact, perhaps even mandated, to use live bullets. Okay. Then again, the question was asked as to at what point such live bullets will be used. And then he says, 1, there will be a verbal warning. 2, there will be a warning shot. 3, after the shots, if the people persist or the people continuously keep coming closer to the perhaps barricade or whatever, or try attacking the officers on ground, then they are allowed or permitted to fire into the people. And you cannot blame them because those are their rules of engagement. So it's a very good foundation for us to begin to build our points. Okay. Let's now go to, let's take one more sound clip and then we can delve into the conversation with our two experts. They are all very formidable when it comes to issues of security in Ghana, and they have been in the service, well, one has been in the service for quite a while, so understands the modus operandi of both the police and the military. Another is a security analyst who has also gotten a fair idea of how some of these things operate in Ghana and elsewhere. But let's also hear from one person who was on the ground. Perhaps he may have even given a direct order. He is in the person of Lieutenant Colonel Kwesiware Pepra, and his men were the ones deployed to help the police at a time when a lot was not going well. And so he also had this testimony to give. Here you go.
Regional Police Commander, and he said they had asked Mampong Police to reinforce them. Later, they said if we don't assist, things will get out of hand because the youth had driven the police away at the cemetery and that there was no policeman in Ejura town. They were so hostile to the police that they needed military assistance. Then again, I called the patrol responsible for Mamponting to go and assist. When they got to the police station, they were briefed by the Ejura police commander, and then they decided to move to where the protesters were approaching from. According to the commander on the ground, they fired a couple of warning shots, and in the process, they were fired at from weapons suspected to be pump action and locally manufactured weapons. And therefore, they had to return fire to maim. Unfortunately, we lost 2 of the protesters in the process. They continued with patrols for just a short period and then withdrew to the police station.
So that was the situation yesterday at the Prempeh Hall in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. A lot happening as far as the Ejura incident is concerned. At this point, I'd like to introduce my guest, Peter Tobu. He's a member of Parliament. He's also been in the police service for quite a while. He's one of our guests and he's joining our conversation right now. Also, I would... okay, Adam Bona, he's a security analyst. You know him because he's very popular. He said quite a number of interesting things of late. And in fact, yesterday he was on another platform saying a lot more interesting things. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us on the show today.
Good afternoon.
Great. I'd like to start with Adam because, like I said, Adam has had some really harsh things to say to the committee and its modus operandi, particularly for activities on the very first day as they sat. Adam, we'll come to a lot of things, but looking at your assessment of the work of the committee on day one, I heard you say that you were quite disappointed with their work. Why so?
I was quite disappointed. Did you say my colleague and brother Tobu was on the other side?
Yes, Tobu is on the line, yes.
Oh, yes, okay. So I would say hello to him, Honorable Tobu, yes.
Right.
And good afternoon to your viewers.
Sure.
Yes, I did say that, I maintain it, that I was very disappointed yesterday, especially with the line of questioning, from the committee. If for nothing at all, I was excited when one of our colleagues is, for instance, I am excited to see one of our own colleagues, Honorable Tobu, becoming an MP, because then he gets to articulate those of us who have been advocating for good security and safety in Parliament. So if he finds himself in Parliament and things don't go right, and he sits and he doesn't probably attempts to help correct it, then obviously I would say maybe similar things. I am disappointed. I am disappointed because then we have one of our own colleagues, Vladimir Nchidanso, who is on the committee. So some of us had higher hopes that a lot of relevant questions were going to be asked. So you have the commander-in-chief of the Ashanti region actually saying that he issued a unilateral decision. He took a unilateral decision to sanction, military officers to go into Ejura and they, killed people. And he was proud to say that. And so I was expecting them to ask him more questions, such as whether, as a regional security council boss, he's a policy maker. Do you also get involved in the work of the technocrats? Because my expectation would have been, as a minister, you would have to relay, if you have to speak to the military in some of these things, you might have to speak to the defense minister. If he didn't want to do that, he could have communicated to the Ashanti regional minister, Ashanti regional police commander, because when it comes to internal security, it is not the military who runs internal security. It is the police. The police have all the accoutrement. This government has purchased enough, machinery for the Ghana police as we speak today. So if they cannot put it to work, then I can say that we either have a police service that is lazy, or we have a regional minister who actually didn't know his work. If you listen to the committee, yesterday, it was more of attacking the media. It was more of why a certain hashtag was streaming on a network. And I thought that, hello, people have been killed. Can we concentrate on ensuring that we get justice for the dead instead of concentrating on the hashtag? Because obviously the reporter was there to help. And according to even the reporter, one of the guys who died was shielding him and other reporters and took a bullet. So if for nothing at all, they should have been, asked him more questions to know how, which direction was the bullet coming from. Because then it means this guy who was shot right in front of them. Yeah. But unfortunately, they dwelled more on, call it, for me, the issues that I call the irrelevant issues. But today, thankfully, maybe they paid attention. There has been significant improvement with regards to once you begin to interrogate these things well, you begin to expose a lot of inconsistencies. You realize that the regional minister yesterday said he spoke to, Lieutenant Colonel Prepra. Today, the commanding officer, Brigadier General Afo, actually says that the regional minister spoke to him and he relayed the information to Prepra. So then you see the inconsistencies. Hello?
Yes.
You see the inconsistencies in the what is coming out from the committee. The moment they started asking these questions, then I started feeling that, well, today the committee seems to be on the right path. That's what I think. And so, yes, I gave them yesterday 2 out of 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, I gave them 2 out of 10. Right. And so I think they've gone on a recess. When they come back, we'll continue to monitor how it goes. Then at the end of the day, I would have what I have to say in terms of how they perform. But so far, so good. I think today's findings have been, but a lot of concerns that I have with today's findings, because it means that we have a police service that, excuse me to say, that cannot protect us.
Right.
Because then
we'll come to the merits of those ones. We'll come to the merits of those ones so that we tease out the many issues, including, of course, you've mentioned one such issue which has to do with the inconsistency with the information coming out. The minister has suggested he had communicated to one person. Apparently, he communicated to another person who in turn communicated to the person the minister is saying he had directly communicated to. And so we'll delve into all of those in a short while, though. But let me also hear from Peter Tobu. He's Member of Parliament for Wa West. And like I said, he's also been in the force for quite a while. So he has a lot more experience when it comes to some of these things and how these play out. Honorable, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Tobu, can you hear me? Good afternoon. Okay, I'm not sure Peter Tobu can hear me. He can't hear me, but I just wanted to take his brief thoughts on the process so far as well, because Adam has given us a very clear understanding of how he saw the process yesterday. He had teased out issues, how he even at a point felt that they were asking irrelevant questions. And so I wanted to get Peter Tobu's take on those ones so that we could finish with that and then get back to Adam. But while our technical guys try and fix that, I'll go back to Adam Bona. So Adam, let's now focus on some of the major things you speak of. Now, one of the things I picked was that the minister had suggested that he had given a direct order that these people must go in and help curb a certain situation. Of course, you being the security expert here, I would want to find out, at what point does the minister, who of course he's the head of the Regional Security Council, but at what point does he have the locus to begin to give such orders? Does it ever happen at all in any jurisdiction?
It doesn't usually happen. It doesn't happen. I will give you an example of how Osama bin Laden was killed. You remember when the Marines moved in to kill Osama. They were beaming the videos from where Osama's hideout to the White House.
Yeah.
Obama was sitting there and watching and receiving real-time security briefings from his people until they confirmed that it is 100% Osama bin Laden was in the building. Then the command to, pull the trigger was issued. Then they did what they had to do. The rest is history.
Right.
The military, there is a reason why the head of states in a country like ours remains the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. And if you had the military, they recounted how they are trained, their models, how they operate, how their chain of command is.
Right.
Unless, of course, we are now going to domesticate our military. But if we are not going to domesticate our military, but we are going to allow our military to remain the military, so that when we have terrorists attempting to attack us, or we have any invading force, or people within the country who want to take advantage of us, the president can issue clear-cut orders, and the military will move in and do what they have to do and retreat back to the barracks or retreat back to where they are supposed to be training. But unfortunately, we have found how many military officers do we have in Ghana? They are less than 25,000.
Right.
Less than 25,000. How many police officers do we have? We have about 40,000 police officers. We should beef up the capacity of the Ghana police. So the question you asked, at what point is it the norm? It's not the norm. I don't see that, because as a policymaker, you have to receive enough briefings from your technocrats. If it's the police or those who come under the Interior Ministry, the heads of those, let's say the Ghana Police, Immigration, Fire, prisons, and the rest would have to brief the Interior Minister. If the Interior Minister is briefed to believe that maybe the military would have to be sent in, the Interior Minister would then relay the information to the Minister of Defense. Because, you see, at the top, the president is the chairman of the National Security Council. Yeah. Under him are the various sectors like the Defense Minister, Minister of Interior, then the heads of the various, including the CDS and all these people. And so, to have a regional minister say that, well, I called directly to, Lieutenant Colonel Popra, I am worried because we've got to tread cautiously. The use of the military.
Let me ask this though. In his testimony, he said something. He had mentioned that he had picked up intel, which suggested that these persons were poised to cause mayhem. And so that is why he gave that order or that command. Will such a context justify such an action?
Not really. If you know the work of the police, the police will usually tell you that their work is to protect lives and properties.
True.
It is not properties and lives. So usually people, have misconstrued the police to be running. When, let's say, rioters are stoning them and they become overwhelmed, the police will usually barricade themselves and make sure that, destruction of property is minimal. But usually the police have actually, in most cases, have allowed their own police stations and their own vehicles to be burnt instead of killing people. The police have AK-47s and, have all the, live bullet that they could use to kill people who are in riot mode. But the moment people are rioting, it means that they are not happy about something. Do you then justify their unhappiness by saying that you are not happy they are rioting, so you kill them? No, there will never be a justification for that. And I would liken what happened to the Black Lives Matter movement that took place when George Floyd died. The citizens of America, parts of America, looted shops, broke down properties, destroyed properties. The police folded their arms. At what point did you see the military being called in? The guards were called in. The guards were called in when those people invaded the capital. Is it the Capitol Hill also? When they invaded Washington, And so my point is that, and even when the guards were, the military were called in, they were given specific tasks, protect this area, and they were there. Okay. But the police dealt with internal security. So mine is that if we continue to use the military this way, the day we expect the military to fight for us, they would have been domesticated, they will begin to behave like the police, and they will retreat.
Hold on for me briefly.
Then,
it's good we are speaking about this and making a direct connection to what may have been said prior to these actions. Because a few minutes ago, DCOP David Ajem testified and said something, and I think it's very imperative that we rope it in at this particular point in time. Now, he's been saying a lot of things, including how the police began to even have this kind of exchange with the people, what led to it. And I think at this particular time, it's critical we hear that. And so let's take this rather short clip of DCOP David Ajiman, who is suggesting quite a number of things. In fact, one of the things is that he said the people had destroyed property to a certain extent. They had gone ahead to say a few things and do a lot more. So let's take that SOT and then let's continue with the conversation.
My Lord, true to the intelligence we had gathered, around 1800 hours of same day, some irate youth in Ejura, on hearing the death of Kaka, went on rampage, destroying both government and private property in the town, including vandalizing the police station, attempting to vandalize the police station, and some other property. For example, the municipal revenue checkpoint, which was the office of the forestry department, was attacked. The revenue collectors were attacked, and the daily collections were stolen by the irate mob. Again, the mob also damaged 2 police vehicles, pictures of which you can find in the document I have given to the committee. They also destroyed 3 other vehicles that were parked at the police station, my lord. Again, the district fire officer and 1 colleague of his were attacked, and the vehicle they were riding was also damaged by the youth.
Okay. That was DCOP David Ajem, who just gave a testimony suggesting why the show of force had to be, should I say, instituted or implemented. Adam Bona is still with us. He's a security analyst with us via Zoom. Adam, so when you hear this justification by the police, what then does it say to you?
Well, I worry. I worry then because it means that total intelligence failure, absolute total intelligence failure. When Kaka was killed, I spoke to some media houses, and I did point to the fact that knowing where he's coming from, he comes from his Yongo, from the Zongo and my brothers and sisters in the Zongos are, you know, interrelated, interconnected. So when you touch one, you know, usually you should expect, you know, some reprisal attacks and some repercussions. You expect that they would come back at you. And so one of the things I recommended was that immediately, you know, the state should summon the chief imam, get opinion leaders, get, you know, the clergy, get those who matter. Let them go into the community and appeal to them. They should use the various mosques to appeal for calm. One life is lost. No more life should be lost in that Zongo community. I did say that before this unfortunate incident happened, and 2 of them were killed and others maimed. And so it means that it was just lack of alertness and lack of picking intel. Because if they had picked enough intel, I mean, basic, you know, intel would have, anyone who understands these things would have, you know, standard. You would have just gone and implemented some of these things, done some of these things I have spoken about. And this would not have culminated into having the youth rioting. But that be, you know, as they didn't, and the youth were rioting, did they have to kill? They didn't have to kill them. Because it is a killing and the way and manner it was done that has brought us to where we are today. And we usually will say never should it happen again. But you know, it will happen again because we have refused to put in the proper structures. But I believe that the committee, let's be optimistic and give the committee continue to look at what they are doing.
That will be the final point we make on this, as far as the work of the committee is concerned, whether or not we are even confident that we'll get to the bottom of this and the necessary sanctions perhaps profit to the people who need to be sanctioned. But let me hear now from Peter Tobu, who is joining us now by phone. His internet connection is not very stable where he is. Mr. Tobu, Honorable, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, brother. How are you doing?
Right, very well, thank you. Honorable, we've been having a conversation, a rather lengthy one so far, about what is happening in Ejura, the probe that is currently ongoing. The first question I had wanted to ask, I think I should still ask, though, has to do with your own assessment of the work of the committee in the past, say, 24 hours, whether or not we are even on the right track.
Thank you very much. Let me say good afternoon to your wonderful listeners and viewers. Unfortunately, I may not have to spend more than 5 minutes with you because I'm following the proceedings right now. And then just for respect for our relationship, I will want to make a bit of contribution before I go back to follow the proceedings.
All right.
The president decided that he will direct the Minister for Interior to set up a 3-man committee to investigate or probably inquire into the matter that happened in Ejura. And then those of us in the minority side in Parliament felt that these are very serious matters, that 3 people have died. And in fact, in this country, when a person dies and it's a murder case, the case is tried at the High Court, not at the Circuit Court and not at the Magistrate Court. And I believe that the spirit of the Constitution requires the President to set up a Presidential Commission of Inquiry with a High Court status. Because it is at that level that you can even subpoena people to appear. And you can compel people to get evidence. But for a committee, they will do their best. But it's just like telling a magistrate court or a circuit court to hear a murder case. The jurisdiction is not there. Membership of that committee, the quality of the membership of the committee, we don't doubt. We don't have any problem with that. But the capacity of the committee by law is limited. Of course, it's lower than the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. And surely all those challenges regarding a lower version of that committee will come to play in this committee. You hear the regional minister say, yes, I have evidence, I have gotten information, and my informant, I am not going to disclose. I mean, these are serious matters. If you are not going to disclose, this is a fact-finding mission. So you are keeping some fact away from the committee. What conclusion do you want the committee to draw at the end of the day? And it's going to have an effect. But if it was a Presidential Commission of Inquiry, he cannot say that. A High Court will compel you to even produce that witness of yours, that informant of yours, to come and even testify. But that's where we are. So we are following to see what will happen. So from
the get-go, you cite a bit of a problem, even with how we have even constituted this committee, and the fact that that move alone may make their entire activity perhaps even moot. They may not even be able to achieve anything we want them to achieve.
Yeah, personally, I don't want to believe that they can do better than the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. I don't want to believe so. And it is also in law that the Presidential Commission of Inquiry is the higher one that can at least do better. It is not about the membership of the committee. It's about the fact that we can have a committee and we can have a Presidential Commission of Inquiry. The President opted for a committee. And we are saying that it should have been a Presidential Commission of Inquiry with a Supreme Court judge presiding, with one or two people with some expertise in the background. I'm sure that if you look at the questions that they're asking, these are soldiers and police officers. There is nobody on the panel that has that solid background in terms of practice. So sometimes you listen to the questions and you listen to the fact that sometimes they even ask for people's opinion, and I wonder. This is a fact-finding commission that will have to get the facts together and be able to deduce what the facts are conclusive on and make special recommendations to ensure that this nation will go through without ever experiencing something of this nature. These are early days yet. Let's give them space to work.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. I won't probe further. Peter Tobu is the Wa West Member of Parliament, and he just gave those thoughts there. We'll wrap up with Adam Bona and then give you, our viewers watching, the platform to also call in and give your take on how the processes have gone so far and whether or not you are even confident in the process as to it's really serving the purpose for which it was set up. Adam, you've heard your colleague there say a few things to an extent suggesting some of the things you may have even mentioned with a line of questioning and the like. Let me ask though, maybe in conclusion, whether we are confident at this point that this committee will be able to do a thorough job.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, day two, once I'm done with you, I'll resume watching proceedings. But day two, I am, I think, yes, the committee will do a good job. And I think I have, a lot of confidence in the work of, what's the name, the committee in day two. So I'm hoping that by the time they are done with their work, a lot of things would have come out, and
But do you not agree with Peter Tobu when he makes reference to the fact that you may sometimes have to compel people to give evidence or to give testimonies in situations like this? A committee is not clothed with the powers to do some of these things, and that perhaps a presidential inquiry would have been able to do the job. Would you not agree with him?
You see, I it's not about me agreeing with Peter or not. For me, I think that if you look at Ayawa's West Wagon, sittings and the recommendations in the white paper, well, I have, I've had a second thought of presidential commissions. I rather think that with committees, the recommendations come and you have to accept them. Whoever it's given to would have to accept them. And I use the example of, what's the name? Aswanse 7. Compensations that were supposed to be paid to them have been paid. And I'm sure you know, compensation that is supposed to go to the Ayawa's West Foregon guys have not been paid. And so I just think that we should allow the committee to work. Day two. So far, I think that they are doing a good job. Day two. They might not be perfect, but day two, I am confident. If you look at the inconsistencies, not being consistent with who called who and who did what and all that, by the time they are done with it, the good thing is that this is also live telecast. So it is not going to be someone now coming to write us a report and hiding the truth, because we would have known it before it is published.
True.
So I am confident. Let's give them the chance. Let's continue. Let's not just say, allow them to finish. But let's continue to interrogate what they are doing as they go on. I do believe that they are also listening to us whilst we push for more answers, and we should continue.
Okay. Adam Bona, many thanks for your time on Opposing Views today. Adam Bona is a security analyst, and you heard him there espouse those views, rather strong views, straight to the point there as far as the issues of Ejura are concerned. The sitting is still ongoing. We are monitoring it closely, and we'll be bringing you updates as and when we have to. But later tonight on MX24 News at 6:30 p.m., Marie-France Fojo will be on standby to bring you a lot more. So you cannot miss this. There's a lot more that we are going to bring to you as far as this probe is concerned. Like I said, we are following it rather closely. Also, Peter Tobu joined us from, well, he's the Member of Parliament for Wa West. He joined us with his views also on this, and he has suggested, among other things, the fact that he feels strongly that the presidential inquiry would have done the trick for us, and that the committee may not be in a position to demand certain answers. For those of you who do not know, the regional minister had suggested that he got a tip-off from someone that such things may happen. He was asked about, okay, in fact, before I finish with this, let me announce the phone lines. For those of you watching who want to contribute to this, please feel free to do so. Two numbers are up on your screens right now. I'll go through them quickly. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511, and 020-473-8481. 020-473-8481. Are you confident that this committee set up by the president to probe the issues in Ejura will do anything? Will they be able to uncover anything or proffer the necessary sanctions that we are expecting? Are you confident that this committee will be able to work? 055-033-1511 and 020-473-8481. Those are the numbers you can call us on right now. I was just mentioning that for those of you who have been following the conversations thus far, the regional minister had suggested that he had gotten a tip-off on what it is that led to all of this. Okay, I think our callers have started. There's a caller from Kumasi. I didn't get your name quite right, but hello, good afternoon. Ran.
Hello, good afternoon.
The name again?
Kamran.
Okay, Ran, let's hear you, please.
Oh, well, you know, considering what you're discussing at the moment,
right?
I think, yeah, considering what you're discussing at the moment, I think whatever they're doing right now wouldn't bring about nothing, because even the regional minister, who, you know, has been saying that from what he gathered, that made him, you know, send troops to Ejura, right? It's self-implicating himself.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Rand. Rand joined us from the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. Let's go to Amansia West, where Ajena Sari is on standby. Ajena Sari, good afternoon.
The regional minister must resign straight away.
The regional minister must resign?
Straight away.
And your reason being?
So, the whole world is watching.
Right.
If the regional minister must resign straight away. He must resign in short. Because we can't hide the right, we can't review the security of the panel, and you are saying that you can't review your informant. You must resign.
But would it be fair for him to reveal his sources if he's gotten information from a very privileged?
He must resign. Straight away.
Okay. All right, Ajina, sorry. Many thanks for your contribution. Let's go to Akosombo. I didn't quite get the Hassan from Akosombo. Hassan, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hassan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right, let's hear your views.
We
are well. We can hear your views now.
Me imagine children say. But imagine children say. Minister now what in kasi bibi sino. That minister dia no ye fa.
Okay. So Hassan wants to find out why the minister decided. Right.
When man bibi am fa ho dia, and they want resign.
Okay. All right. Hassan, thank you. Hassan is of the view that the minister must resign because once he got the information, he should have perhaps communicated to the right sources and not taking the decision he took. That's fine. That's your view on that. The decision to hire and fire, or the power to hire and fire, still rests with the president. He will be the one to decide on that. Let's go to Bolga now. Tanka from Bolga. Tanka, good afternoon.
Yeah, the name is Tanka.
Sorry, the name is?
Duncan.
Duncan. Okay, sure. Duncan. Yeah. Duncan, let's hear you.
Yeah, I think starting from where you just ended, regards the sources that the minister was asked and he's not trying to give out.
Right.
Let's be honest with ourselves. Like Peter said, If it was a presidential inquiry, definitely the fellow would have been subpoenaed to produce that, because it's possible that the intel was rather not a good one. It's also possible that the intel would have been a lie that has led to what has happened. So there's a need for him to disclose. So that if even they are inviting the fellow to come, he may not even come in public. He can be here in camera. So that in future the fellow will have confidence to give information if it is indeed true.
Right.
Look, watching the regional commander, he's witnessed it. That's what they call situation report in police. The sense of reference is what led to the unfortunate day shootings. You are going to bring us issues concerning the situation report on the ground, what has happened. What has that got to do with what happened on that day?
Okay.
Look at the inconsistency.
Okay.
The Jew said that, yes, they said that the police had been chased away and there was nobody in town. Lieutenant Colonel comes in and tells us that when his men got there, they had to go to the police commander for briefing. So who's not telling the truth?
Okay, Duncan, thank you for your views. Duncan called us from Bolga. Let's go to Takwa now. Collins is on standby. Collins, good afternoon. Can you hear me? We've lost Collins. All right. You can also, I think we just have a couple of minutes to pick one or two more calls. If you're keen on sharing your views on the subject, 055-033-1511 or 020-473-8481. Let's hear from Amachi. Amachi, you are in Adan. Amachi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Amachi, let's hear your views.
Yeah, you don't need to be a soothsayer to be able to see the future of this investigation. It is going to end up to nothing. Now look at how the policeman was defending themselves. Now, this is not going to end anything. In fact, we are sick and tired of this thing. Please.
Thank you for your views. We'll take two more calls and then we'll call it a wrap. 055-033-1511 and 020-473-8481. Let's go to Cape Coast now. Fred is on standby. Fred, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Fred, let's hear your view.
I think the minister has not been proactive in terms of making sure that he has the right findings before making the decisions that he makes.
Okay.
So because I believe that if he was, if he looked into the matter very well, or whatever his informers told him, he should have made the right decisions, or he would have contacted the right persons before making sure that the military went in there.
Right. Okay.
Because I think it is completely out of place for the military to be allowed to go into such an operation.
Okay. All right.
So,
right. Fred, thank you. Thank you for those views. Let's go to Takrade now. I think I may have lost the name. Anas from Takrade. Anas, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. Anas, let's hear your view. Your final caller, please.
The name is not Anas. I said Spider Anas.
Okay. Let's hear your view.
I just wanted to know if, like, the Constitution does not permit demonstration. That's what I want to know.
Oh, the Constitution does permit protests and demonstrations, yes. But the Constitution also suggests that in your bid to protest or to seek redress of an issue, you must ensure that lives and property are protected. And so if your right to protest infringes on somebody's right to live peacefully and calmly, then the police and other security agencies are permitted by law to come in and get you to be on the right tracks.
Oh, okay. But that does not cause a subject.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
The work of the police.
Okay. We'll take the final one. I had mentioned that our last call was going to be the last one, but let's take this one. Peter from East Legon. Peter, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Peter, let's hear your view.
I actually have something to say concerning what the military officer was saying.
Okay, let's hear.
You know, based on what he said, in both of them, they were like, their interest wasn't solving the problem, but their interest was to defend what they did. To me, but that is not what we are looking for here. This is not the first time issues like this are happening in Ghana. But we must make sure that we eliminate this, we eradicate this nonsense so that it doesn't happen again. But if we listen to what they were all saying, They were trying to defend the police service and the military as well. What they did, they don't concern about what happened that is wrong.
Okay.
That
All
is
right.
what I have to say.
Peter, many thanks for your time. Peter from East Legon is our final caller, and I would like to, at this point, thank all of our callers and to thank you also for taking time off to watch today's edition of Opposing Views. It's 1 p.m. I'm sure a lot of you may be hungry. I am hungry. I'm sure you are. If you are, and you are in and or around the East Legon enclave, the place to be for a sumptuous meal this lunchtime is a Free Restaurant and Bar, and they have all kinds of meals for you. If you're unable to get there, you just have to place a phone call. It's 0246 080925, 0246 080925. A Free Restaurant and Bar is located on the Boundary Road, close to the MX24 roundabout. You just look on your right and you see them right there. They have a lot of amazing meals you can grab onto and enjoy at such times. But that's how we wrap up on today's edition of Opposing Views. My name is Kwabna Chenchen Boating. Show was produced by Marie France Fojo, Jonah Eledi, and Ns Senanu Dovlo. I'll see you on Friday.